People have this idea that enjoying food and staying in shape are somehow opposites. Like you either eat what you love and suffer the consequences, or you live on lettuce and air. That's just bad marketing from the guilt industry. The truth is, the more you savor food, the less likely you are to overrate it. And it's the rushing, the mindless shoveling that tricks your body into saying more, more, more. Slow down, taste it. Let your senses actually register the flavor, the texture, the aroma. The first bite is always the best, so stop chasing it with 20 more. And stop making food the enemy. If you think of chocolate cake as forbidden, your brain will obsess over it until you eat the whole thing at midnight in the kitchen. But if you allow yourself to enjoy a few bites, fully without judgment, you walk away satisfied instead of shameful. That's power. Eat like you respect yourself. That means eating real food, fresh, whole, alive, not just processed filler that gives you a sugar high and then crashes you. The better the quality, and the more your body thanks you by using it efficiently instead of storing it as fat. Hydrate. Move your body. And most importantly, ditch the all or nothing mindset. You're not good or bad based on what's on your plate. You're simply choosing what works for you long term. When you stop eating out of boredom, stress, or habit, you suddenly realize how little food it actually takes to feel full and happy. And here's the magic. When you eat with awareness and gratitude, your body naturally balances itself. You can still have the pasta, the wine, the dessert, you just don't need them in portions fit for a Roman feast. So yes, you can enjoy food without gaining weight. You just have to be in control of the moment, instead of letting the moment control you. Savoring every bite is about shifting from a mechanical act of eating to a mindful experience that involves your full attention and presence. Most people rush through their meals without even realizing what they're putting in their mouths, chewing absent-mindedly while scrolling on their phone, watching TV, or thinking about the next task on their list. In that state, your brain barely registers that you've eaten anything, and you end up craving more simply because the experience wasn't complete. But when you slow down and truly savor food, you allow yourself to become deeply aware of the flavors, textures, and sensations, and that awareness transforms the entire process of eating into something satisfying on a much deeper level. It is in the slowness that fullness and pleasure intersect. The first step is to physically slow your pace. Instead of hurriedly cutting another bite while you're still chewing the last one, put your utensil down. Let your tongue and taste buds fully explore the mouthful you have before you. Notice how the flavors change as you chew, how the texture shifts, how the aroma lingers even after the swallow. This isn't just poetic, it's biological. Your satiety hormones need time to communicate with your brain that you're full. When you rush, you bypass that communication. So you eat more than your body actually wants. Think of the first bite of a favorite food, the way it wakes up your senses, the way you might even close your eyes for a second. That bite holds the highest level of pleasure because your senses are fresh to the experience. Every bite after that has diminishing returns. But when you savor slowly, you prolong the peak enjoyment instead of racing past it. Food becomes richer, more intense, and more memorable when you give it your full attention. Savoring also changes the psychology of eating. When you eat slowly, you signal to yourself that food is not a scarcity. You're not in a rush because you trust there's enough time and enough nourishment. This dismantles that primal urge to overeat just in case and replaces it with a calm, assured connection to your body's needs. This kind of mindful approach also allows you to better distinguish between true hunger and the urge to eat for other reasons, like stress, boredom, or habit. By savoring, you naturally align your eating with your body's cues rather than external triggers. Imagine sitting down with a fresh piece of bread, still warm, the crust crisp, the center soft and fragrant. If you rush through it, you might barely register the taste before reaching for another slice. But if you break off a piece, inhale the aroma, let the butter melt slowly against the warmth, take a bite and truly experience it, you will find that one slice satisfies in a way 2 or 3 never could when eaten mindlessly. This is not about restriction. It's about amplifying pleasure so that less becomes enough. You also begin to develop a natural gratitude for your food when you eat this way. Gratitude slows you down. It makes you aware of the effort and energy that went into bringing that food to your plate. The farmers, the soil, the sunlight, the preparation. This awareness enriches the experience and makes it feel complete, which reduces the desire to keep seeking more bites to fill some invisible gap. Over time, savoring becomes second nature. You stop associating eating with guilt or excess and start seeing it as a nourishing ritual that both honors your body and respects your appetite. And as this becomes your natural rhythm, you'll notice that your body begins to settle at a comfortable weight. Without extreme diets or obsessive calorie counting, simply because you're no longer overriding its signals with speed and distraction. Allowing small indulgences is one of the most powerful ways to create a balanced relationship with food. Because when you completely forbid something you love, it doesn't erase the craving, it intensifies it. The human mind is wired to fixate on what it's told it can't have, turning that food into a forbidden treasure that eventually leads to obsessive thoughts and, more often than not, an uncontrollable binge. When you grant yourself permission to enjoy a treat in moderation, you remove the psychological tension around it. That slice of cake is no longer a symbol of rebellion or weakness. It's simply food enjoyed consciously and without guilt. This shift in mindset helps you break free from the all or nothing cycle where one bad bite leads to an entire day of overeating because you've already ruined your diet. Instead, you give yourself space to enjoy something rich, sweet, or savory in a way that satisfies your senses and signals completion, not excess. The key to small indulgences is intention. If you decide to have a piece of chocolate, you choose it deliberately, not as an impulsive reaction to stress or boredom. You sit with it, taste it, let it melt slowly, and give yourself the full experience. By doing this, you often find that a small amount truly is enough because you're engaging with the food instead of inhaling it without thought. This approach dismantles the idea that pleasure from food is dangerous or shameful. Pleasure is a natural part of eating. It's the overconsumption that creates problems, and overconsumption often comes from deprivation. When your body and mind know that you can have a treat whenever you genuinely want one, the urgency to devour it before it disappears, fades away. Small indulgences also help you maintain long-term healthy eating habits because they make your lifestyle realistic and sustainable. A diet that relies on constant restriction is a ticking time bomb. You may follow it for weeks or even months. But the moment you encounter temptation, the backlash is intense. By weaving little moments of indulgence into your routine, you build a way of eating that you can keep up for years, not just during a temporary diet phase. You're not waiting for a cheat day because there's nothing to cheat on. Every day already has space for enjoyment. Another benefit is the way small indulgences can actually teach you portion control naturally. When you allow yourself to enjoy a favorite food without fear, you can observe your body's signals more clearly. You start noticing that the third bite doesn't taste as magical as the first, or that the heaviness in your stomach creeps in faster than you thought. These realizations happen without force or punishment. They're gentle reminders that your body knows what balance feels like if you're willing to listen. Over time, your cravings shift, and you begin to crave not only taste, but also the light, an energized feeling that comes from not overloading your system. The emotional freedom that comes from small indulgences can't be overstated. Food no longer feels like a battleground where every choice is a win or a loss. It becomes part of life's rhythm, where nourishing meals coexist with the occasional cookie, slice of pizza, or glass of wine. And because these indulgences are woven into a backdrop of mindful eating, they don't derail your health goals. They support them by keeping you mentally and emotionally aligned with your body's needs. The best part is that over time, you discover that you don't even want to overindulge. The urgency, the compulsive edge, disappears because you've built trust with yourself around food. That trust is what allows you to enjoy every bite of something decadent without tipping into the spiral of excess. And that's the quiet, lasting key to staying balanced while still loving the foods you love, choosing quality, nutrient-rich foods over processed fillers is not about following a trend or chasing a label. It's about understanding how the food you eat communicates with your body on a cellular level. Every bite you take is either feeding health or feeding dysfunction, and the more your meals are made of whole, fresh, unprocessed ingredients, the more your body operates the way it was designed to. Processed foods, with their refined sugars, artificial additives, and stripped-down nutrients, don't just lack value. They actively disrupt your hunger signals, energy levels, and metabolism, often leaving you hungrier and less satisfied than when you started. This creates a cycle where you eat more to feel full, yet never truly feel nourished. In contrast, when you choose foods that are naturally nutrient-dense, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, you provide your body with the tools it needs to balance energy, regulate weight, and maintain a steady appetite. Quality food doesn't just fill your stomach, it satisfies your body's deep need for vitamins, minerals, fiber, and healthy compounds that work in harmony to keep systems running smoothly. When your cells are well fed, cravings for empty calories begin to fade because your body is already getting what it truly needs. Many people mistake cravings for sweets, fried foods, or salty snacks as a lack of willpower, when in reality, it's their body's cry for real nourishment. Processed fillers deliver a quick hit of flavor and energy, but no lasting satisfaction. So you keep going back for more, which easily leads to overeating and weight gain. Replacing these foods with higher quality options breaks this loop and restores natural appetite regulation. There's also a profound sensory difference between eating quality foods and their processed counterparts. A ripe, seasonal tomato carries a complexity of flavor that no canned sauce can imitate. Freshly grilled fish, drizzled with lemon, tastes clean and light, unlike breaded, fried fish sticks that coat the tongue with oil. When you regularly expose your taste buds to real flavors, your palate becomes more refined, making processed foods taste overly sweet, salty, or artificial. This shift not only helps you make healthier choices naturally, it makes you crave the purity of fresh, whole ingredients because they make you feel better physically and emotionally after eating them. Another aspect of choosing quality is paying attention to how your body responds after a meal. And processed fillers often leave you feeling sluggish, bloated, or jittery, while nutrient-rich foods give you steady energy and mental clarity. Over time, these physical responses guide your preferences so that choosing fresh over processed is no longer a forced decision. It's the obvious one. You begin to connect the dots between what you put into your body and how you feel hours later. And that was awareness alone can transform the way you approach eating quality food. Also supports portion control naturally because it's more satisfying in smaller amounts. A handful of raw nuts can keep you full for hours due to their healthy fats and protein, while a bag of chips may be gone in minutes with no real satiety. This isn't about counting calories. It's about understanding that the more nutrients a food contains per bite, the less of it your body needs to feel satisfied. This principle allows you to eat in a way that feels indulgent and abundant without overloading your system with excess calories that don't serve you even on a tight budget. Prioritizing quality over quantity makes a difference. Simple choices like buying fewer packaged snacks and more fresh produce, swapping sugary drinks for water or herbal tea, or replacing refined grains with whole grains gradually shift your entire eating pattern toward balance. You're not depriving yourself. You're upgrading. You're making sure that every calorie you consume works in your favor, supporting your health, energy, and natural weight regulation instead of undermining them with artificial, empty ingredients. Over time, these consistent choices create a noticeable change in your body composition, mood, and overall vitality. Without the need for extreme dieting or constant self-denial, aiding for hunger, not boredom or emotion, is one of the most transformative habits you can develop if you want to enjoy food without gaining excess weight, because it shifts the focus from eating as a reflex to eating as a conscious choice. Many people don't realize how often they reach for food simply because they're tired, stressed, anxious, lonely, or even just because the clock says it's meal time. These moments have little to do with true physical hunger and everything to do with using food as a distraction, comfort, or form of entertainment. When you eat for reasons other than hunger, your body isn't actually asking for fuel. It's asking for something else entirely. But the quick burst of flavor and satisfaction from eating creates the illusion of a solution. The problem is that this kind of eating almost always leads to overconsumption because your body doesn't need the calories you're taking in. So it stores them as fat while still leaving the underlying emotion unaddressed. The first step to breaking this cycle is learning to distinguish between real hunger and emotional hunger. Physical hunger builds gradually, is felt in the stomach, and can be satisfied by a wide variety of foods. Emotional hunger, on the other hand, often comes on suddenly, demands specific comfort foods, and leaves you feeling unsatisfied even after eating. Pausing before you eat and asking yourself, am I truly hungry, or am I trying to change how I feel, can be an incredibly powerful tool. If you realize it's emotion driving the urge, you can then address the real need. Rest if you're tired, connection if you're lonely, a break if you're stressed, without using food as a substitute. Another helpful approach is to create a small delay before eating when you suspect you're not truly hungry. Even waiting just 10 minutes can give your body a chance to reset and your mind a chance to recognize the true trigger behind the craving. In that short window, you might choose to go for a walk, have a glass of water, journal, call a friend, or simply breathe deeply and check in with yourself. More often than not, The urge to eat fades when it isn't tied to actual hunger. And if it doesn't, you can make the conscious choice to eat. But with awareness rather than impulse, eating for hunger also involves being in tune with your body's signals of fullness. Many people eat until they're stuffed, not just satisfied, because they're disconnected from these cues. Slowing down during meals, chewing thoroughly, and taking short breaks between bites help your body register when it's had enough. It's much easier to respect your natural hunger cycle when you're not eating to fill emotional gaps or to pass time, because your appetite becomes a clear, trustworthy guide instead of something you're constantly fighting against. When you start honoring true hunger, you naturally eat less often, and the food you do eat tastes better because your body is genuinely ready for it. A meal eaten after real hunger builds feels far more satisfying than one eaten out of habit or restlessness. This also helps you break free from the habit of constant grazing, which keeps your blood sugar in a perpetual roller coaster and can lead to fat storage over time. Instead, you create a rhythm where your body alternates between fueling and resting, which supports both metabolism and weight management, emotional and boredom. Eating often stem from deeper habits and patterns formed over years, sometimes even from childhood, where food was used as a reward, comfort, or distraction. By becoming aware of these patterns, you can begin to replace them with healthier coping mechanisms. This doesn't mean you'll never eat for pleasure again. It means that when you do, it's intentional and truly enjoyable, not a reflexive way to numb discomfort or fill empty moments. Over time, eating for hunger rather than emotion becomes second nature. And it gives you both the physical benefit of maintaining a healthy weight and the emotional benefit of knowing you can meet your needs without relying on food as the first answer. Controlling portions without denial and measure is about striking that balance where you can fully enjoy your favorite foods while still respecting your bodies, while still respecting your body's needs. Many people associate portion control with deprivation, imagining tiny plates of bland food that leave them hungry and unsatisfied. But in reality, it's not about eating less of everything. It's about eating the right amount for your body and savoring it so that smaller portions feel just as satisfying as larger ones. The truth is, most overeating happens not because the food is too good to stop eating, but because eating habits have been shaped by oversized servings, distraction during meals, and a lack of awareness about how much the body actually needs to feel full. Once you start paying attention to how much food truly satisfies you, portion control becomes less about rules and more about listening to your own signals. One way to approach portion control is to start with smaller servings and remind yourself that you can always have more if you're still hungry. This simple shift takes away the feeling of restriction because you're not cutting yourself off. You're giving your body a chance to tell you what it needs before automatically refilling your plate. Often, after a few slow bites, you'll realize you've had enough, and that decision feels empowering rather than forced. Using smaller plates and bowls can also help naturally reduce portions without feeling like you're missing out, because visually, your plate still looks full and abundant. This is important because the way food is presented affects how satisfied you feel before you even take the first bite. Another powerful tool is to eat mindfully, fully focusing on the food in front of you, instead of multitasking while you eat. When you give food your attention, looking at it, smelling it, tasting it fully, you make the most of every bite. This heightened awareness can make even a modest portion feel indulgent and complete. which reduces the urge to keep eating just to prolong the experience. When you rush or eat distractedly, you often don't notice how much you've eaten until you're uncomfortably full, and by then, the enjoyment has faded anyway. Slowing down ensures your body has time to send the signal of fullness before you've eaten more than you need. Portion control also works best when your meals are balanced with a mix of protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich carbohydrates. These components work together to keep you fuller for longer, so you're less likely to feel deprived. For example, pairing a small serving of pasta with vegetables, olive oil, and a lean protein not only adds flavor and texture, but also slows digestion, stabilizing your energy levels. This means you can enjoy foods like pasta, bread, or dessert in a satisfying portion without setting off a hunger spike an hour later. It's also important to understand that portion sizes for high-calorie treats can be smaller while still delivering plenty of pleasure. A few squares of rich dark chocolate, savored slowly, can be far more enjoyable than a whole candy bar eaten without thought. A scoop of ice cream in a small bowl, eaten with a small spoon, can feel luxurious without turning into a calorie overload. The key is that you focus on the sensory experience rather than the quantity. By doing so, you can incorporate these foods regularly without them affecting your weight in a negative way. Controlling portions doesn't mean you have to measure every bite forever. It's more about building an internal sense of what enough feels like. Over time, your eyes and your stomach will naturally align, and you'll know intuitively how much to serve yourself without thinking about it. You'll learn to stop eating when you're satisfied, not stuffed, and to appreciate the food you've had instead of regretting the excess. This balance keeps eating enjoyable and stress-free while helping you maintain a healthy weight without rigid dieting or constant self-denial. In this way, portion control becomes less of a discipline and more of a lifestyle that allows pleasure and health to coexist effortlessly